All right, we're on Taharot, Perek Tet, Mishnah Aleph. First Mishnah Aleph in the 9th chapter of Masechet Taharot. Our Mishnah turns to the topics of zaitim, of olives. Olives in the ancient time were incredibly valuable. They were incredibly important commercial product. One thing you see around Israel, all the places you all know is olive presses. Anywhere you go, they had an olive press. It was an important manufacturing thing that they had. A lot of olive trees in the Mediterranean area. And of course, it was used by everyone, not only for light, but mostly for food. So it was really important. Also, clearly, it was important to them to keep it as tahor as possible. So now, as we know, the Bartenura says that in order for something to become tamei, it has to become liquefied, it become wet. Not only wet, but also intentionally wet. Let's look at the Bartenura for a second. And he says, as we've learned, okay, ein machshir azra'im, seeds or planting, things that were planted, are not machshir lekabel tuma. They're not muchshir lekabel tuma. Ela mashke denichale. When liquid falls on it in a way that the person desires, nichale, he wants it to happen. It says v'chi yutan ma'im al zera. The Torah says, when does something become tamei? When does something that grew on the ground become tamei? V'chi yutan, when water is placed on it. So Chazal say, ktiv yitain v'karina yutan. The word we read it yutan. See with the vowels there. We read it as yutan, but if we took away the vowels, in the Torah it looked like yitain. So said Chazal, very famous drasha, it says yitain, but we read it yutan. So we learn from there, yutan dumya de yitain, that when yutan means it's placed upon, in the hifil, puel, I don't know about that, whatever, yutan, it be placed on. Okay, dumya de yitain, but it has to be similar to if you place it on. Ma yitain de nichale. When I yitain, if a person places liquid, sprays water on his plants, he does it de nichale. He wants it to happen. Av yutan, even if water comes on inadvertently, de nichale. So it has to be okay de nichale when he wants to. What are the things that among the liquids that can make vegetation tamei are we said the 7 ones. The yayin, there are 7 are wine, water, shemen, oil, dvash, honey, milk, dew, and blood. Those are 7 liquids that if they fall on vegetation voluntarily, yitain, dumi de yutan, yutan dumi de yitain, then they become mekabel tuma. So now when olives are pressed, so the way olives are pressed is they would harvest the olives in baskets or buckets, as we're going to see, then dump them in these sort of big canvas or whatever receptacles, and they would then sort of sit and they would ripen. And when they ripen, so there's 2 things. Let's look at Wikipedia for a second. An olive press works by applying pressure to olive paste. You get olive paste by leaving the olives until they become pasty to separate the liquid oil and vegetation water from the solid material. So there's oil that they wanted and vegetation water that they didn't really want, which is really, really important. That's called mohel. Okay, and we're going to see how much, at what point, I think it's called, that's exactly what's called mohel, okay? That's exactly what, that's exactly what they want. You want to get the stuff you want out, not the ones that you don't want out. Says the Mishnah, zaitim, me'emetam mekabel tuma. So from when are these olives mekabel tuma? Mishiyaziu ze'at hama'atan. Okay, it's called, this is the sweat. So the Tanakhama says, when they sweat, the sweat of the ma'atan. The ma'atan is the thing that they put in to get the second thing from the baskets. They put them in the ma'atan that's the thing they're going to use to press the olives. Let's look up that word. So the Jasper has ma'atain. Ma'atain means a vat or a pit where olives are packed until they form a viscid or a mass. Okay, anyway, so that's the ma'atain, the things you pack it in. So, mishaziu ze'ata ma'atain, when they start to sweat. Avalo ze'ata kupa, but not the sweat of the kupa. Why? Because the ma'atain holds the liquid. Kupa is the basket that they're harvesting it in. Okay, and that doesn't hold the liquid. And the sweat that they sweat when they're in the harvesting baskets it's lost. Therefore, velo nichale. He doesn't want it to sweat then because he wants to save the liquid, and therefore that doesn't count. That's not chiyutan dumya de chiyitain. Okay, avalo zeyat kupan of the basket kidivrei Beit Shammai. That's Beit Shammai's opinion. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Shimon says no. Shiur ze'ah shlosha yamim. The measurement of ze'ah, of this sweat, is 3 days. So remember, we talked about this vegetation liquid. It says about Tunura, Mashka Yotzeh Tosh Shlosha Yamim. The first 3 days liquid that comes out Eino choshuv shemen. It's not oil. Ela mochal. I'm sorry, not mochal. Mochal be'alma. It's this mochal. I think it was mochal. Eino machshir. That's not machshir l'kabatuma. It's not. That doesn't make the liquid prepare to be mekabatuma. She'ein machshir in the kabatuma. Ela shiva mashkin bilvad. It's not oil. It's not water. It's vegetation liquid. They didn't consider that to be water. So that shears it. That zayah, that sweat of the olive sweat, that's not considered. That's 3 days. After that, everything else is oil, and therefore it's mekabatuma. It's not considered enough liquid until you leave it in that ma'atan or mat'an or whatever it is, until you leave it in 3 days, until three olives stick together. It's going to become a paste. So once three olives stick together, then it's enough, and therefore it's mekabel tuma. Rabban Gamliel says no. We should take tigamer melachtan when you're done with your work, i.e., when you're done with your harvest. Melechet achnasatan. The chol zman shedato la'avi od zeitim. As long as you want to bring more zeitim mimakom acher from somewhere else, ein azayah machshiratan. The zayah is not machshir. It doesn't matter how long. Mishum de lo nichale, because you're going to keep adding. You want to keep adding. When umishati gamer melachtan, when you're done harvesting into the maten, filu ben yoma machshir, even that day. Then if they don't have to wait 3 days, they don't have to ferment, they don't have to stick together. That liquid is machshir l'kabatuma. Chachamim say like it. Now, obviously, this is critically important because you'd have to know at what point. Let's say, can I stop using amei haaretz to harvest? Remember, if I have an olive oil factory, I want to do the mahadrin oil. So if I have mahadrin oil, I cannot have amei haaretz touching stuff or producing the oil, this olive oil, once it's mekabel tuma. So therefore, this was critically important. If a chachamim say like kidvarav, so then as long as they continued to harvest, I could use amei haaretz. Once the harvest was done, I had to use only chavarim in my process. We'll stop here. Dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.